Okay, so today's topic, we're going to be talking about Matt Barnes spiting on a guy at the Dallas Cowboy 49ers game. A side note, I'm a huge Dallas Cowboy fan, and I didn't really have a lot of confidence in my Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? My yeesh, okay? I knew it was going to, the 49ers, they just play us different. I don't know what's going on. I think the 49ers are our kryptonite, but that's neither here nor there. Plus, Dak Prescott, he just let us down again, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get into the topic at hand. Matt Barnes is accused of, let's just say, doing something very disgusting at his fiancee's ex. Apparently, these guys somehow, some way, ran into one another at the Cowboys 49ers game. On a side note of this, I feel like this could have been easily avoided, but I feel like these two guys have some history with each other, and I believe both of these guys knew that they was going to be at this game. Okay, it's a very big stadium for these two guys to somehow, some way be seated close to each other. Okay, I just feel like some of this stuff could have been avoided if these two guys really wanted to avoid this situation. But here we go. I'm not going to get into the messiness and the personal stuff between Matt Barnes and this guy's wife. She's accusing Matt Barnes of making threats to her. I'm not even going to get into Matt Barnes is with a woman that used to have a history with this guy. I'm not going to get into all that, but Matt Barnes, and it shows video on TMZ. TMZ, they know drama like TNT. All right, so you can clearly tell from the video Matt Barnes spit into this guy's personal region. All right, and this was not acceptable. And I just want to say this: Matt Barnes was on a clip that I felt like personally Matt Barnes was going to get into. He's got a podcast, Up and Smoke podcast, with Steven Jackson, and I thought Matt Barnes was gonna be at a clips where he was doing a lot of great work as a sports influencer, a media influencer in sports entertainment. His name was ranked highly among his peers, and it wouldn't surprise me none that Matt Barnes could easily, if he's out of his current contract with Showtime Sports, I feel like Fox Sports 1 could have entertained the possibility of having Matt Barnes long term on their network. ESPN could have exercised a long-term contract to have Matt Barnes. And Matt Barnes was, flourishing in all sports categories, not just being a basketball analyst. And I feel like this incident right here, he done fumbled the bag, and he was at the goal line getting ready to score. He had one more foot to get across the goal line, and this guy fumbled the bag. Now, I think he derailed his career. I feel like these networks don't trust Matt Barnes, and I feel like a lot of people are going to, after this incident, accuse Matt Barnes of being a Pookie and Ray Ray type of individual. And networks like Fox Sports 1, ESPN, NBC, they're not going to tolerate having someone represent their network, i.e. Paul Pierce. But Matt Barnes was doing some extraordinary work in sports media, and his name was on the rise. It was almost on the cuff. And this comes out. There's video footage, pictures, witnesses that saw this thing happen. And as far as on a professional level, I felt like he derailed his career. Now, he still has the Up and Smoke podcast. I still feel like Showtime Sports is still going to deal with these tomfoolery, Pookie and Ray Ray type of events, because I don't feel like this is the last incident. Okay, I feel like, in the future, Matt Barnes' name's going to be stuck in a lot of messy situations because of the fact that the history that he has with this guy. And this guy once had a history with the woman that he's seeing right now. And there's family members involved. I just feel like these two guys, they need to get into a room and square this thing off. Not fighting, but just put a kibosh, put a bow tie on this. Look, you don't have to like each other. You can just simply agree to disagree and keep it pushing. Matt Barnes has a lot to lose dealing with all this messiness, than anyone else that's involved in this messiness. And, this is just, and on a sad note, spitting on another man, that is the most disgusting thing you can do. It's very disrespectful, not only to the individual that you're spitting at, but, it's just people just start characterizing you as someone that's a loose cannon, someone that, still acts like a child. We can't trust you on our platform. You're not going to represent our platform the right way. And, it's bad enough Steven Jackson is, look, both of these guys are in their 40s and 50s, and Steven Jackson talking about going into Chi-Town and checking in. I mean, come on, dude. You're almost a grandfather, and you're checking in, all right, in Chi-Town. These guys, I feel like this is the age of people really believing their worth on social media. I feel like social media is a delusional place where, you got so many followers, you think you're the big guy on campus. And that stuff is a delusional place to be. I think it massages people's egos in the wrong way. Too much social media can be a bad thing, particularly if you have a reputation to uphold, particularly if you are, in line, signed to these multiple networks like a Showtime Sports, an ESPN, a Fox Sports 1, and then you want to elevate and take your platform to the next level. I feel like Up in Smoke Podcast had the capabilities of doing something that the Pivot Podcast has already succeeded to Up in Smoke Podcast in doing. And Brandon Marshall's podcast, for the life of me, the name of the podcast, I Am Athlete Podcast. Those two podcasts, which haven't been podcasts that haven't been podcasts as long as the Up in Smoke Podcast, those two podcasts have exceeded and branding themselves, linking themselves with other sports networks and other sports media companies. And you got the Up in Smoke Podcast. They're still doing their thing. They're still having great hosts. But at the end of the day, are these two individuals elevating their platform to the next level? Because there are levels to this. And even though it's a good show, I still listen and watch Up in Smoke Podcast. But the facts are facts. Even Shannon Sharp Club Shay Shake Podcast is doing extraordinary numbers, and it just gets better with time, and it's growing and elevating, just like the I Am Athlete and the Pivot Podcast. The Pivot Podcast haven't even been a full calendar year, and they're already at a plateau where the Up in Smoke Podcast hasn't even touched yet because of these two guys' behavior off the set. The actions these two guys do away from the set, and their behavior, it doesn't really